Welcome back and thank you for staying with us on Daybreak. So today we'll be tackling a very sensitive and contentious issues, which is alleged human rights abuses, where analysis, of course, is what we're going to analyze on Amnesty International's report indicting the military. So the Amnesty International has dropped a bombshell, alleging that over 10,000 people have people have died in the military custody since the Boko Haram conflict began in northeast Nigeria. The report accuses the Nigerian military of war crimes, including intentional attacks on civilians, extrajudicial executions, torture, and sexual violence. The defense headquarters has, of course, swiftly rejected these allegations, labeling them as spurious, shocking, and lacking in merit. They emphasize their professionalism and adherence to international humanitarian law. However, Amnesty International stands firm, citing evidence of systematic and widespread attack on civilian populations. So our discussion today, of course, will dive into the heart of this controversy. Joining me via Zoom is retired Brigadier General Dele Olabode. He is a security expert, author, and humanitarian logistician and disaster risk management or manager. And also he serves in many multi-joint task force and theater. He's of course going to analyze this report's findings and the military response and the implications of justice and accountability in the country. Good morning, General.
A very good morning to you all. Thanks you for having me. Good morning, Nigerians.
Of course, it is a pleasure to have you, General. Let's hear your take on the amnesty allegations and how the Nigerian military is quick to also have a stand when it comes to defensive, on this matter. What's your take on what really transpired?
Thank you once again, and good morning, Nigerians. When you talk of Amnesty International regarding report of criticism against the military, all these, if you have been following them closely, even not only Nigeria report and other things, they're not only the report on Nigeria. They have not, in most cases, let me domesticate it now, as it affects Nigeria military. They have always been on the other side of the divide. In most cases, their reports are always imbalanced. They introduce sentiments. And if you want to be a good judge, you have to do whatever you want to do bereft of any sentiments. Over time, they've been reporting a lot of things against the military. And those of us that are physically present on ground, we discover that some of the things they will be saying will be very strange to us. When you look at their report criticizing the armed forces of Nigeria for various human rights abuse in the Northeast theater of operations, I was opportune to be the pioneer military humanitarian coordinator in the theater. That's Operation Dele, now Operation Adinkai. And sometimes when I read some of their report, I discovered that I used to see so many foreign things that would never happen in the theater. Because we are so organized in a way that we are subscribers to all these international conventions and protocols as a country. And military, we are a regular force. We are not irregular force. And in that regards, we are subjected to some rules, regulations, treaties and protocols globally. So you'll be surprised when they will be attributing so many things to military. Over time, I used to laugh. I said, what do they stand to gain? And when you look at it, there have been
now
some of our people
talking about
that are Nigerians are even part of the people promoting all this regular reporting.
Okay, General, but earlier, right from the beginning, you said their report is not really balanced. So what do you mean by that? Because later on now you're saying perhaps what they're reporting is all false. So where does the line between imbalance and false lies in? Where do we break the line?
Yes, when you look at it, why is it that they are always concerned about Nigerian armed forces? leaving the belligerents out of the whole scheme. They will just give them maybe 5% when they are reporting. They cover them 5%, and most of the atrocities being committed against innocent citizens of this country in that area, they will not throw more light. The trust of their report, negative one, is always geared towards the armed forces of Nigeria. So that's why you know, when you look at the ratio, it's completely imbalanced. We can't continue doing like that. If these things are not shared, it's like trying to incite, create unnecessary insurrection, even among the innocent, the peaceful citizens. So that's what I'm trying to express in terms of saying imbalance. Even ordinary people on the street knew quite all right that most of their reports are imbalanced. Leave it out of the military. Look at other reports they have been giving. They misinform people, and they have their own target. They have their own mission.
Okay, General.
They have their mission. Because when you are in a theater of operation,
General,
and you are saying military, we are the conventional forces. We are subjected to international conventions and protocols. So we don't operate in silos.
Can you hear me?
We work in alliance. We have rules of engagement.
Okay, I want to follow a question. I don't know if you can hear me right now, but then there is this saying, there is no smoke without fire. In every, in every rumor, there's an atom of truth. Now, even if this is not happening, when there is a concern being thrown out, sometimes it might not really be a push for or a poke at an organization. It could be for a call to action. So what has the government, the military, Nigerian military, done in terms of investigating to make sure that these allegations are not true?
Let me come by letting you know that when I was there as the military material coordinator, which is the military convention, we knew quite all right from onset that we are subjected to some international conventions and protocols. And our training, whatever we want to do, we train first. And our training is in alliance, is in alignment with all these conventions and protocols. And by the time we go, it is from there we draw our rules of engagement to make sure that it's not on the contrary to what we are already signatory to, that the government of Nigeria is already signatory, the military has been part of, is a subset of the Nigerian government. So we don't operate unconventionally, because our own is the conventional forces, and we are regular. We are not irregular forces. So there is no way, because we know that there is all those. If you go on the contrary to the conventions, then we know quite well there will always be consequences. And as an organization that is representing the government of the country, we will not like to work against the traffic when it comes to realities on ground. We train ourselves. I coordinated a lot of trainings. We interface with all these international NGOs, United Nations agencies, the faith-based organizations, community-based organizations in the localities there. We never operated in isolation, because we must get to know our environment before we swell into action when it comes to military operations. And in that regard, when we have been trained, we follow the conventions. I organize so many trainings concerning non-kinetic approach to military operations. And we have been doing that. And then when they are now coming, most cases, when you look at it, the area they are reporting, they were basing their report on ASA. They were never part of the people in the front line. So how come you are now coming to give analysis on the contrary to what actually transpired in the front line? So these are the things. It's a cooked report, because most of the things they are saying never happened the way they were saying it. There could be some skirmishes. That one is understood. That is what we call blue on blue. That is when you have sometimes when you write the target. We are not, the accuracy is in the hands of God. But we are human. So in a certain environment, anything technology, there could be problems. So we have some situations like that. But the way they are saying it, it was not targeted on anybody. Anything that happens in error, nobody would just say, my decision today is to plan to fail. So these are the things we need to understand, and we need to sensitize our people. Before you do all these things, ask yourself, these people, okay, are you in the front line? Is it not when the piece is returned to that front line before you can come there and start looking for a report that you want to write? But they will not come and be talking, oh, military did. No, how can we go out to be targeting the destruction of our own citizens? It doesn't work that way.
Sometimes if there
But in
is
the process
concern,
of trying to
if
deliver
there is
on your
concern,
mandate,
of course,
there could be some
it's
problems.
allowed for
It's
that
lecturer.
concern to be touched. And let's be
But it's not
honest,
the way they are reporting
hearsay
it.
could go. General, are you with us? Hearsay could go on for the longest time,
I'm with
but then,
you.
like I said, sometimes there's just an atom of truth. But then let's move away from that. Now, how does the Nigerian military
Okay.
balance the need to combat, of course, terrorism in the country and also safeguard the lives and properties of civilians?
No, come again. And
All
there
right.
you well.
Okay, we're talking about, what some of the allegations that have been made, and there's this allegation of destroying of
Yeah.
properties and all of that. And based on what you're saying, defending, of course, Nigerian military, saying, no, you people do everything as it should. So how is the Nigerian military able to, balance the fact that they need to fight and combat insecurity, terrorism, and banditry with the same thought of protecting civilians and properties?
Okay, thank you. Before we carry out any operation, we interface with the locals, we sensitize them, and let them know. We keep them abreast of what is going to be the next line of action by the military. Because any area that is not safe, where we have skirmishes, all these Boko Haram attacks from time to time, we used to conduct operations in phases. And whenever the operations are to be conducted, we make sure that people are evacuated from that general area to a safe haven, whereby at least we could provide physical security and human safety for them, so that they don't get bogged down within the operation line or area of operation. So we evacuate them far away from there. And wherever they are evacuated to, we make provision for them so that they have basic amenities available to them, pending the time the operation is conducted and concluded. So when the operation is concluded, we move them there. Our major priority is to ensure and assure that civilians are protected. And the emphasis is always on the most vulnerable people, which are the women and children. So these are the provisions we have. And from time to time, in theater training, we do in-theater training by inviting all these professional organizations, humanitarian organizations, related agencies. We work in synergy with them. Protection of civilians is very germane to military operations. And it is when you have been able to secure the environment in a way that there will be no spillover effect or whatever operation we are to carry out in that general area on the civilians. So civilian protection is our key concern when we are in the operation, and we have always been doing that. Any route that is not safe, we make sure that people are prevented from moving towards that direction. After giving them long-time information regarding the restrict your movement, don't go to this area, be this place, and then whenever anybody, some people, even with the information and the interaction you have been having with them, they could be stubborn at times, but we make sure that we put measures in place that once you are not able to cross, then you now retire back to your own location where you have been asked to stay. So with this, is our critical concern when it comes to this issue of protection of civilians. Because all the things we are fighting there is to achieve that.
Okay.
To make sure that the innocent civilians are secured. So that one is in fact, is work in progress from time to time. Whenever we are doing training, when we are out of contact on combat, we make sure that we sensitize our people, give them in line with the conventions and the protocols that the Nigerian government has executed to. So these are the things that we don't joke with the civilian protection.
Okay.
Why are we fighting? We are fighting to make sure that they are protected.
As it should be.
So our plan,
okay,
even
General,
in our planning for operation,
General,
is
are you with
included
me?
there.
Let's talk about
What we have to do to make sure that
reply of
civilians are protected. Yeah?
the defense headquarters. Let's talk about the reply from the defense headquarters. We saw Major General Edward Buba, address these allegations, saying that they're inviting the Amnesty International to come and defend these allegations. What should Nigerians expect from this? I mean, we all know that when it comes to operational tactics and all of that, Nigerian military cannot really share with the public, but this is something that the public needs to know of it. So what should Nigerians expect from this sitting if it happens?
I didn't get the question. I got the opening narrative
should happen.
You gave, but the question now,
there should be transparency, right?
That led to this question you now ask.
Okay, Major, are you with us?
Are you with me?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, I'm with you. I didn't get the backstory before you now ask the question.
Okay, what I said was that we saw that the Defense Headquarters, through Major General Edward Buba, come out to address this, this allegation, saying that they are giving room for a sit down to happen with that's invitation to by the Amnesty International to come and defend these allegations. So if at all this happens, hence where my next question pops out, what do you think Nigerians should expect from this? Would there be clarity on how the sitting goes? What level of transparency should we expect, considering some protocols of when it comes to operations that the military cannot share with the Nigerian people?
Regarding the issue, when you allege that somebody has committed an offense, definitely you must have the proof before you come into conclusion regarding that. Now you have accused the military. In the report, the criticism had come up. There must be your point that you could now use to substantiate all those claims. So if you come to us, because you have your notes, so to say, the Amnesty International group, they have their own notes, then they will now come and meet with us, with the military, so that they compare notes. And that's where you see most of the things, because in most cases, when they want to verify things, they know they will use another route. You hardly see them coming physically to meet the people that are involved in those activities to get the details. Because in that place, as a military humanitarian coordinator, whenever there is anything to clarify, they come to the theater headquarters, they meet with me and the other critical people in the place. We have meeting with them from time to time. It's a periodic meeting. And sometimes when I was there, we do bi-monthly, sometimes we do fortnightly. That's the way we do it. And then continue so that we keep ourselves abreast of what is happening on ground, so that to guide against the kind of reportage. But when you don't come, and you are now sourcing your information from people of like minds concerning their own area of their own focal point, then the problem will continue to be recurring like this. But what we are now saying, when they come, you now say, oh, you allege this, you allege this, you allege that. And that thing will not be done in secrecy. Because military, when it comes to clarification of all these kind of allegations now, it's not done in silos. You have to make it open. People, when they're asking them, so that they will not deny. When they're asking them, the response they give and the clarification from the military, everything will be reconciled. And once it's reconciled, it will be to the glaring of everybody. Not that you say, oh, that's not what I said. The military has added this or removed this. So that's the essence of bringing them together to further clarify to Nigerians that not this thing they are reporting is not the way they are reporting it. There have been some tutoring. I mean, what do I say now? Doctoring. They've talked doctors so many things, maybe to satisfy their people of like mind with them, who is always part of the proponents of all this kind of wrong reports against the military. It's not even against, it's against the government of Nigeria, because they have their own ulterior motive. Because when you don't verify issues and you now conclude that you went and write report, it's against the rule of when you talk, it's a crime against humanity. Let me use it that way.
Well, we would have to wait and hear from
military.
The
you know that every time, periodically, they give updates. The director of media, he gives updates. Whatever happens here and then, when you are there, the media houses come there, they clarify things. That's why their avenue was created, so that people will not keep in the dark. concerning what is happening. Because the thing is all about our country, not a personal activity. That's why from time to time, they always have this media chat with the key critical stakeholders. And apart from that, there is monthly this civil military coordination organized by the UNOSHA, that everybody, all stakeholders will be brought there. It's not only military. Military is just a component. They will now bring all other people that have something to do with these operations to the place. Anything that is there, we trash it out there. I was representing the army there in those days. So these are the things that we have to how we reconcile, we compare notes, so that all this unnecessary abuse of due process will not be there.
Yeah.
So that one definitely it will open, and when it's done, the same source, it will be communicated to the people, because military has already countered this their report. And once this step, like you rightly mentioned, now comes up, they will now get back. There must always be a feedback mechanism. We will feed the entire country back, so that they will know that this is not exactly what these people have claimed. The things were not like that. And that's why they want them to come around, so that let us have one-on-one discussion. Okay. So that if there is anything, you get to try, we source it from here, we source it from there. No. The thing, everything must be original, whatever. They forget bereft of any personal interest, which will be original and sincere in our point of duty. It's very important. So that one, I assure you, military has a due process. When it comes to that, we work with due diligence.
Okay. General, good to know that there is due diligence, because that is what Nigerians are expecting from, especially one of the group of people talking about the Nigerian military that is meant to protect the Nigerians, the citizens of the country. But then can you give us some specific measures that is being taken to prevent at all human rights abuses in the military?
When you look at the way international space look like, if you are saddled with any responsibility as a commander anywhere, you have series of levels. As a commander, you know that there must be training for conventional forces, and this training are in line with there is always an intensive training when it comes to IHL, International Humanitarian Law. Then we have training concerning protection. When you look at UN, when they are talking of protection, is all about protecting civilians, either in their locality, either on transit, either in another foreign countries. These conventions are there, and our training are all embodiment of all these points I'm highlighting now. Then humanitarian in particular is a very complex situation. That's why at interval we normally have interactions with the humanitarian agencies. And that's why, like me now, it's the same military that trained me, that made me to have a certified international certificate in humanitarian logistics and management. So whereby, go and study this, so that we now know at what point should we be involved when it comes to humanitarian action. And with this training, we have all these branches. Is it psycho, social, is it whatever you want to talk of? Our medical people, the clinical psychologists, and we have those structures on ground. You can fact check me in Maiduguri there at the theater headquarters, where I have experts in this area, independent professional experts, military professional experts in the area of psychosocial approach to all these kind of trauma as it affects your military operations. So we all know about this. That's why when you look at it over time, before humanitarian people will come to the front line to come and do this, we are the one that will first encounter this humanitarian crisis. And that's one of the reasons that made them to give us the opportunity to go and study this course. I did my own master's in humanitarian logistics and management in Switzerland. So with this one, that's the home of humanitarian. When you talk, so we have all this. When we are planning, we always have part of our operational planning. We have humanitarian operations, and humanitarian operations is all encompasses the protection of civilians, people on transit, all this and everything. So that's why we have series of civil military coordination. It's part of our training and part of our activities in the field, so that people that are unable to access basic necessity, that's the minimum standard as per UN Sphere project, they are the ones that we have people that will cater for them. That's what we call quick impact project. Those things that could make remedy all this unnecessary suffering. But then we do that. So we restore hope to the hopeless. We stabilize the place before the traditional humanitarian actors now are brought in. Because the place is secure, physical security and human safety is already guaranteed. They will now come there. So if military have not been granted in all these areas, you would have been recording series of casualties and all these calamities, because over time this thing could drag for 3 months before the humanitarian people could come in. But what happens? We are the one, our education will be providing education services to those children and everybody, so you can fact check in the theater. We rebuild schools, we give all these basic medical centers, medical outreach from time to time. When the real people that are saddled with that responsibility now comes in, they will now take over, we now provide physical security and human safety to guarantee that, and they start their work. So it has been part of us. We are a complete entity to balance whatever the situation temporarily, even sometimes to some extent, for a long time process. So this one, there is no military operation that we have segments, we have sectors in a way that everything has been taken care of. We do comprehensive planning, so that, because when you are in operation, you cannot say, oh, excuse me, let me go and get it. No. We do comprehensive planning, and as we are planning for today's operation, we make provision for future operations. Because when the whole thing changes, you will not have time to say, oh, let me go prepared. So you must have already armed yourself. You don't marrow yourself into it and mainstream it into your overall plan, and the result will be there for you to get.
Okay,
so that's why all these things are part of us. Our operation is not like planning for a party. It's a life and death matter.
All right, General,
and
when
you
you say
must
it's not
leave any
planning
stone
for a
unturned.
party, it's okay. So in all of this, right? Earlier, General, at the start of our conversation, you share your concern about how Nigeria would view, or how the global world would view Nigeria because of this. So let's talk about the implication of allegations like this on the military of Nigeria.
Yes, because let me tell you, if it's real, if it's a true something, it has negative implications. And that's why I was telling you, I referred you at the beginning of our discussion concerning the international conventions and protocols. So we know the implication. So once you know the implication that may likely about whatever you are doing, then you will, on your own, you will now, when you are planning, that's why you will do a lot of things to mitigate whatever challenges that could come, which could eventually lead to all this kind of wrongdoings that will now have negative, by implication, that will now have negative impact on the nature of your army and your government at large. So in that regards, we know all these things are known to us.
Yeah.
Because we knew about this from onset. And
okay,
that's why
General,
we don't go
but
there
in all of this,
doing things on the contrary.
In
Because
all
that's
of this,
why
you
we are
remember earlier I said, General, are you with me?
Yeah.
You remember earlier I said sometimes, there is no smoke without fire. So in all of this, is there any plan by the Nigerian military to retrain, the military officers in order to understand distinct between human rights and fight against, terrorism?
Yes, sometimes when you look at this human rights and terrorism of a thing you are talking about, even in the UN, the protocol, the conventions and protocols, there are some offenses people commit. Oh, they say you cannot attack church, the religious institutions, hospitals. But in some cases, when you get to a certain place and from the same facilities I just mentioned, and you now discover that somebody were firing GPMG or these small arms from those buildings. So you don't wait for anybody to tell you that you need to respond before you do all those things. So these are part of the things that we normally experience.
Yeah.
don't attack religious centers, mosques, churches, hospitals, and those facilities. But you now see somebody throwing grenade from inside the mosque or from inside the situation. And in that regard, when you react and where you find yourself somewhere that is united, that are being attacked by people in the name of saying they are innocent citizens, you know, it's a complex issue that most of the people that are writing this report, they don't even understand what the conventions are all about.
All right.
Because I'm talking from a practical experience in the theater there, whenever I'm meeting with these people. So when they are talking, they all their own, they will always be emphasizing on negative, and I try to draw their attention to this. Please, before you come into a complex environment like this, you need to educate yourself. If you don't know, you need to know. It is when you know those critical issues surrounding that kind of circumstances that you'll be able to now ascertain which one is this, which one is that.
All right.
In this one, we know all these things, and we work towards it.
General.
Is always there. But in a situation,
the defense headquarters have, given their own say, they've retaliated, defended itself, and we'll have to wait and see what the Amnesty International would do. It's just like you said, sometimes there is no allegations without proof. So hopefully they get to bring the proof that they have. But thank you so much for joining us, retired Brigadier General Dele Tajuddin Olabode. Truly appreciate you.
Yeah.
All right, and that was a retired Brigadier General Dele Tajuddin Olabode, a security expert, author, and humanitarian logistician and disaster risk manager. Also, of course, served in many multi-joint task force and theater. Joined us to discuss the Amnesty International alleged report concerning, human abuse and all of that. And I would continue following that, and hopefully we'll get to keep you up to speed with what would unravel in that aspect. We'll take a break, and when we come back, we'll quickly dive into the front pages of the national dailies. Stay with us.